Let's continue our lesson with more emphasis on young people's role in peace building and conflict transformation processes. Youth is not a separate global goal, as we know. It's not one of the 17 goals, but it's a cross-cutting target for all SDGs, including SDG 16. There are more young people in the world than ever before. Around 1.8 billion young people aged between 10 and 24, the largest youth population ever. Many of these young people live in developing countries. Actually, children and adolescents are the biggest population in the world's 48 least developed countries. Around 600 million young people live in the fragile and conflict-affected territories. Young people and youth violence is the most widespread violence worldwide. Around 200,000 homicides occur among youth 10 to 29 years old each year, which is 43% of the total number of homicides globally each year. And globally, 83% of youth homicide victims are males, and in all countries, males also constitute the majority of the perpetrators. Young women as well as young men are at very high risk of physical and sexual abuse and exploitation. And over the past decades, we can see the increased number of youth and involvement of some young people, particularly young men, but also women, who engage in violence and extremist groups. In the settings where there is lack of access to education or social services, lack of opportunity to attain decent job, and injustices generally increase the distrust by young people in the capacity of state to prevent the poverty and hopelessness and frustration. But fortunately, there are also young people who are very much active and drive force of positive change and development in many places and spheres. There are youth-led organizations, social and political movements, very actively take part in peace building and conflict prevention, interventions, and in very various levels, in local, national, and international level. And they help building more peaceful societies and ensure democratic and inclusive governance. So, taking into account all these facts, UN Security Council adopted a resolution 1215 on youth, peace and security in December 2015. Urging all member states to increase inclusive representation of young people in institutions and mechanisms for the prevention and resolution of conflict and for encountering violent extremism, and calls for an increase in political, financial, technical and logistical support, the participation of youth in peace efforts to take account of all of their needs. So this resolution identifies 5 key steps for action. The first one is participation, the second one is protection, the third one is prevention, and the fourth one is partnership. The last one is disengagement and reintegration. This resolution is a call for member states to give youth a greater voice in decision-making at all levels, to consider setting up mechanisms that would enable young people to participate meaningfully in peace processes. So let's look at some more statistics about young people in different regions. More than 28% of population of Middle East is aged between 15 and 29, representing over 108 million young people. This is the largest number of young people to transition to adulthood in this region. And according to the US Census Bureau, there are approximately 241 million young people aged 15 and 29 living in Africa in 2010, representing approximately 28% of the overall population of the continent. As of mid-2010, approximately 1,001 million people aged 15 to 29 were living in Asia, and including China. That's around 25.83% of the total population in the region. And according to the US Census Bureau, again, estimated that a total number of 169 million people aged 15 to 29 were living on the European continent, which is the overall population, which is 29% of the overall population of the continent. There are more than 154 million young people aged 15 to 29 in Latin America and Caribbean. So if we look at the world now, we can see how many armed conflicts and in which regions they are ongoing. So young people, being the majority of the population in this region, should be the main actors in tackling with violence and war, because being inside of conflict-affected environment make young people more aware of their needs and problems. Therefore, young people's participation in peace building and conflict transformation prevention processes will ensure that conflicts are sustainably decreased and the future is safe and peaceful. Thank you very much.